live from all over this beautiful land. This is the Testosterone Zone with the fine men, Noel, Keith, and Steve. Take it, boys!
And welcome, everybody, to episode 18 of the Testosterzone podcast. This is Noel. I'm with my brothers, Steve and Keith.
Hello.
We're all happy to be back with you. We have an excellent guest this week. He's going to talk a little bit about photography, answer a lot of questions about cameras and the right cameras to choose if you're an amateur photographer or if you'd like to be a quasi-professional photographer, and talk about photography stuff. So looking forward to that conversation. And Steve, I understand that you're enjoying some much better weather than we are here in the great state of Texas. So what you got up there these days?
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's beautiful up there. It was exactly 50 degrees cooler here in the southeast corner of Alaska than it was in Keith's neck of the woods.
50 degrees cooler. Good grief.
It was beautiful. 57 for a high, so it gives you an idea how much the heat was in Keith's neck of the woods or neck of the desert.
The neck of nowhere.
Yeah. Keith, how's the weather your way?
Well, like you say, 107 for the high today, but that's not the warmest it's supposed to be this week. So we're looking forward to that. So, yeah, Noel, how was your weather your way?
It's hot. We went up and fished this weekend, and it was just like boiling water. So really hot. A fish came up already half cooked.
Yeah,
so that was
saved some time.
That made it easier. Yeah. Just drop it on the pavement. You're ready. And,
exactly.
and we have our special guest with us, Jaffo. Jaffo is in Lubbock, Texas, and we are wanting to talk to you, Jaffo. How is your weather?
It is just as hot as it is where you are.
I know, no difference. A couple hours north of where I am, so that's just all sorts of relative fun in the heat of this West Texas area.
Yeah. Have you guys ever used the "What Your Forecast"? Forecast?
Yes, that is
hilarious.
Oh my gosh,
it's funny.
Just put that in, put Lubbock, and you'll know exactly how I feel.
The one that was on there today was it's as hot outside as your so-and-so private parts in skinny jeans. So, it gives me a good laugh before I get the day going. That's for sure. That whoever created that is got a sick mind, but I love every minute of it. So thank you, whoever you are. But yeah, like Noel said, we want to introduce Jaffo today, and it's kind of timely that we're having Jaffo on. And I'm sorry, guys, I've got sinuses, so forgive me, but I sound like an elf. But anyway, it's timely that we're having him. We're really kind of doing some summer podcasts right now. Last week we discussed 811. If people are out doing some digging around their house, trying to do things in their area, just finally able to get out and do things. Of course, 107. Don't think people want to do that much. But this week, we know people are going to start traveling. We know people are going to start trying to make some good summer memories, and so that's why we thought this would be a great week for Jaffo to come on. Jaffo is an expert, in our opinion, of photography, not only with professional cameras, but also, what I think is interesting is how great he makes photos with just a cell phone. And, it's just that old adage, right, Jaffo, that the best camera you have is the one that's with you. Yes. And so that's really why we're excited to have you on today. We would really love to hear some tips and tricks that you have to make memories last that are really going to be something that you can treasure. And so really we have some questions, but we'd just like to really turn it over to you to get started. Give us just some basics about what you do as far as photography. What is it that you kind of specialize in? What are some of the neat things that you've got to do with your photography expertise and the like? So go ahead.
Well, even though I use a digital camera, I'm actually a video guy. So everything I shoot is video. I do take a lot of photos, but primarily it's looking at the motion rather than actual stills.
Okay.
But yeah, the camera I use is a Canon 5D Mark III. It's the same thing that most journalists out there use, sports photographers, everyone like that. It's just I have it rigged for video instead of for actual photos.
Still pictures.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by doing that, are you able to catch frame by frame, easier a lot of things to where, you can basically freeze and take still. I mean, I know you have stills. I've seen some of your stuff. It's awesome. Is that kind of how you do it? Is you just go frame by frame and find the one that pops out to you, or what? Tell me a little bit about that process.
Well, in that process, as I'm shooting video, I can also just immediately hit the record or the shutter button, and interrupts the recording of the video and takes a photo instead. Or I can go through the video. The video is full HD, so I can go through and take a still of that, and it's still better quality than most consumer cameras out there.
Okay, that's pretty neat that you can do that. So it takes a little bit of both.
Yeah, it does, and it's relatively. Once I got used to it, it was easy for me to use as far as adjusting the aperture and the iris and all that kind of stuff. It's just one of those things you got to play with. That's when I first started this job. I never actually used this camera before, and so I had to just jump in. And there's nobody here to teach me how to use it, so I just started playing with it. And been here 2 years. They haven't fired me yet.
Jaffo, for as long as I've known you, you've always had a camera in your hand, and I've noticed recently at past camping trips, mancations, all that good stuff. You still have that camera, but you use your cell phone a lot, and I know you're a video guy, but man, you take some amazing pictures of just that little iPhone, or I think it is that you have, and
Yeah.
I use my iPhone for a lot of the same purposes, and I think I've got some pretty good photos at times. But you obviously know a lot more than the average guy does. So, what are some of the tricks that you use when using your cell phone to catch a picture, to enhance a picture? Can you sort of walk us through some of your tips?
One of the things is these phones have a built-in zoom option. Never use that if you can avoid it. If it's better to get closer to what it is you're trying to get, if it's safe to do so, and just take that picture, up close, because the zoom adds some distortion to the image itself.
Gotcha. We laugh because my teenage daughter has told us the same thing, and we call her like a photo snob because she's like, you cannot take my picture if you're going to zoom in. So
yeah.
It's interesting. There's actually something to that, so I won't tell her you said that.
and that's the one thing.
We'll keep that between us. Yeah,
it's just between us guys.
Yeah, and the cleaner your picture is to start with, the easier it is to manipulate it later.
Okay.
So if you wanted to go in and maybe adjust the colors a little bit or something like that, there's a lot of consumer products out there that'll do it. A lot of free apps on your phone that'll do it. It's a lot easier to do it when you're starting off with a good picture. But if you start off with a zoomed in picture, it's going to have that pixelation around it, and it's not going to look as clean or crisp as what you would like. And you won't have as good of a control over the different variables like contrast and brightness and hue and all that.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to think about how the hell did I turn off my Zoom. I have to look at my phone later. But is there an app that you would recommend for altering and manipulating a photo?
Not really. I ended up taking mine off my phone onto my computer and using Photoshop. Gotcha. I've been using.
That's
Photoshop
my favorite too.
Yeah, I've had it for 20 years, so that's kind of what I'm used to.
Cool.
Okay, certain things you can do with your phone, like if you're shooting somebody, like they have a very bright background behind them, but they're kind of darkly lit. There are two things you can do. On your phone, as you're taking that picture, you can click on the screen and click on that person's face, right? And it pops up a little box around them. And then there's a little star or sunburst kind of thing next to it. And you can pull that up and down and adjust the brightness of your subject.
Oh, wow.
And then later on, like in the editing software that you can get, you can go in and make the background darker. But that way you're starting out with a brighter or more crisp image of the person you're trying to get. So that'll help you with that kind of stuff.
Makes
The other
sense,
thing you
because
can do-
that way the main object of the photo will stand out even better.
Right. And that way you also make sure it's in focus, because the first thing that thing does is when you click on a certain position on that screen on your phone, it's going to focus on that image right that's inside that box too. So it's an auto. I mean, it also focuses. It also tells you what you're trying to concentrate on.
Okay.
And so it'll focus everything on that, and you can adjust from there. But then also the other thing you do is, your phone does have a flash, or most, I think all do that these days.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to do that, you turn it on. You don't put it on auto, but you turn it to where it's on. I mean, it's permanently on, and that way any picture you take, that flash is going to go off. So if you have somebody that's backlit, like if you're at the lake and the lake behind them is very bright, but maybe they're in a shadow of a tree, you turn on the flash, and you should be able to light that person up without distorting the background at all.
Wow.
Okay.
But that's another reason why you don't want to zoom in, because the flash on these things is not very bright to begin with. So if you zoom in, you're increasing the distance between the flash and the person, and it's not going to do anything for you. So if you're closer to that person, that flash will actually work to brighten up the person that you're focusing on.
So,
Interesting.
I imagine probably a lot of, pictures that are be taken this summer is, family vacations and probably a lot of landscape, Disney World photos, that type of stuff. Let's take landscape, for example. What's the best way to capture, do you want to use your flash? Do you adjust the photo settings when you take a landscape photo, or, what's your strategy on that?
When I'm taking a landscape with my phone, I make sure the flash is off completely. And I, of course, make sure I don't zoom in if I can avoid it, and basically just set the shot, just kind of look through your viewfinder as much as you can to see it, to get a good look at what the image would look like. Now, you have to deal with sun glare at times. The best way to cancel that out is wearing a cap and holding it's going to be kind of counterintuitive, but you end up taking your cap off, draping it over the top of your phone to kind of create a little dark area right above your phone. So it's shading the phone, and then should be able to help you see your actual image on the screen.
It's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is, when you're taking a landscape photo, look at your corners. Look at all four corners of the screen to see what's in that shot. Because you may see this great landscape and you're about to take a photo, but then you look over and then, there's a power line in the bottom right corner.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is move a little bit to the left, and it's out of the shot, and you got a perfect shot to start with.
So you should
Without even having to Photoshop it out, right?
Right.
could teach my mother-in-law a few things about photography. There was a string of about 8 years there where she just habitually cut people's heads off in pictures. So much so that whenever the family got together and she was taking a picture, we all like ducked so we could get inside the picture.
hoping that at least half your forehead was there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was it's kind of a family joke, but I think that's good. That's good advice. So.
Jaffo, what are some things that you enjoy photographing? What are some things that you have done lately? I know that you are a large part responsible taking pictures around the Texas Tech campus, or at least you have been. Are you still doing that much?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll take pictures, but it's, once again, primarily video that I'm shooting.
Right.
I'll
Okay.
go in, I'll take some stills as I'm shooting, but then some I'll just go into the video and just, that frame right there, and export it as a still file.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about how you came to doing that kind of thing, and where it's kind of taking you. How
I got into it. I just kind of settled into it, I guess. Mm-hmm. My background is not photography at all. I mean, I've been taking pictures all my life, had a class at Tech during my undergrad to, it was a basic photography class, and that's about it. And like in my career before here, working at a TV station, I was more of a promotions guy than anything else. So I was doing a lot more writing and editing than shooting. But I ended up learning how to shoot video just through experience, just through kind of the need to do it.
And the rest is history. You're still doing it. That's awesome.
Pretty much, yeah.
Would you mind, because we like to kind of share some of the experience of people that we're talking to, if you have some or one or two photographs that we could post maybe on our Instagram just to highlight it, nothing obviously that you're using commercially, but if there's something that you would, we'd really appreciate having a couple of shots that we could maybe post to just kind of show some of your work and some samples, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Nothing.
Hey,
Okay.
if you can get my old Instagram account back, you can use every photo from there.
So I heard, what's going on with that? You can't even get Instagram to answer you, and you got hacked.
Did you get?
Yeah, I got hacked.
Oh,
And then I got the account back. I reset all the passwords. I reset the everything I could think of to reset. Had my phone listed on there. Had my email. Had all the necessary things to get my account back again if I needed to. And the next day, or about 3 days later, my account had been taken over again, and all that information had been deleted from my account.
oh.
So if I tried to do a recovery on it, it wouldn't happen.
Wow.
I had nothing to connect to.
Wow.
That's crazy. And did they ever get back to you?
No.
Wow.
So now I have a new account with starting over with new pictures.
Oh
I'm
my
kind
gosh.
of mad about it.
Yeah, I mean, you think about your whole history that you have there, and then you got to start over. That's annoying. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I think I only had like 100 pictures on there, but still, it's like
Yeah.
That's a lot of pictures.
yeah.
So if you don't mind, what is the equipment that you use for your video and stills?
Hey,
Here at the station, or here at Tech, it's a Canon 5D Mark III. Is the actual model number. It's basically your not even the top end Canon camera, but it's kind of in that medium range. Like a camera body with a lens will cost you about $2,000, maybe a little less.
Yeah. That's funny. I'm looking it up at Canon, $2,099. You're pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, I've been looking to buy my own, because since this is state-owned equipment, I can't use it for personal use.
Right. Sure.
So, but I kind of fell in love with the camera, and so now I kind of want to get my own, just so I can have it whenever I want to go shoot different things, different places. I do have a Nikon camera that I bought several years ago, and it was the consumer version, and it just, once I got that Canon, I put that thing away, and I think touched it twice since then.
wow.
kind of have your partiality to the Canons.
Yeah, the Canon cameras do very good in low light situations. I have some friends that were in a band called the Electric Gypsies, and I would go I would go take photos of their gigs here in Lubbock, and I was using like a little point and shoot camera for a while, and then I upgraded to the Nikon and used that for a little bit, and then one day my Nikon battery died, and so one of my friends had his Canon with him. And so he went out to the car and got it and let me finish the show with that. And I almost didn't give him back the camera.
That was that good. Wow.
Yeah, because it did phenomenal in low light. And ever since then, I've kind of been envious of Canon. And then since then is when I started working at this job and was handed the Canon camera. It's like, here, use this. And yeah, it's a nice thing. It's very versatile. I gotta be honest. I mean, I fiddle through most of the settings. I'll go through there. I can set the white balance so that it knows what color, temperature different lights are. Like if you don't know that, different lights give off a different temperature. And so most people just put it in auto and say, there it is. But for me, I have to set it manually to whatever situation I'm in, whether it's outside in bright sunlight, in the shade, inside under fluorescent lights, or under my tungsten lights, my light kit. So it's like different temps for different things. And, if you don't set it right, you can have green or blue or orange or yellow video.
No, that's not good.
Yeah.
So you really want to make sure that you're capturing the kind of the white balance that you want in any particular situation.
Right.
Okay.
And sometimes, especially here on campus, there are buildings with a lot of natural light coming in, but then they have fluorescent lights on inside the building. And so those two do not mix whatsoever. So you have to go through and try to figure out which one's going to work best based on what you're actually seeing through the viewfinder.
Now, about lenses, do you have certain special lenses that you use for special situations?
For the most part, I just use the multi focal lens. It's like an 18 to 200, so
Okay.
It goes wide and zooms in some.
So it's really versatile that way.
Yeah, and that's primarily just because of the whole shooting video instead of photos. But with that lens, it's an optical zoom lens. So that means it's two pieces of glass that are being moved further apart or closer together. And, that gives you the different focal lengths and the different, focus and all that stuff. And if you have a good optical zoom, that's good for everything else you're doing. But some of the consumer cameras out there have have an optical zoom and a digital zoom on top of that. Once you get into that digital zoom area, that's where you start getting all that pixelation. Like on those point and shoot cameras, a lot of them will say like 8x, and then in parentheses be like 40x, and that first X is the optical zoom, second X is the digital zoom, and you can actually see it as you're zooming on the camera. You'll go into a certain point, and it'll stop, and then it'll start up again on that when it's starting up on that second part. That's when you're going into digital zoom, and it's going to cause that fuzziness.
Yeah, that graininess that you want to try to avoid.
Yeah.
Hey, Jaffo, for those of us that aren't near the professional that you are, I've been thinking for years I want to get beyond just a little point and shoot or using my cell phone camera. And, what's a decent price range to get a decent camera to get a higher quality photo, and what type of budget should I shoot for, and do you have a brand that you recommend?
I would probably go with Canon. Canon seems to be like the best kind in the low light situations. You can get a decent Canon kit like at Best Buy for about $500. It'll come with a camera body, and like two lenses and a bag. That's, I think, the Canon 7 Ti or something like that.
Yeah, that's that kind of like all in one. Comes with a lens and battery and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that'd be a good thing. I would probably start. And I guess let's back up. It all depends on how you're going to use it. If you want something that you can just kind of run and go, if you want something to take on vacation, something that is more adept to whatever situation you're going to be in, I would actually go with a point and shoot camera. I would spend $300 on a decent one with a good optical zoom on it, but it's something you can put in your pocket. Gotcha. A bigger plus would be if it's waterproof, because if it's waterproof, it's also going to be sandproof and dustproof.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
But if it's waterproof and you go to Disney World or Six Flags and you get on that water ride, or something that splashes you or whatever, you don't have to worry about it. It's waterproof.
or snow.
Yeah, or snow. Yeah.
Where he is, that's probably.
Yeah. If you're hiking and you slip and fall into the river or something like that, if you have a digital like a $500 DSLR camera and you drop that in the water, you have to go buy a new one. But if you've got the little point and shoot camera that's waterproof, most likely it's not going to be affected at all. So it all depends on like where you're going to be and how you're going to do that stuff. And even if you're like trekking through, Europe, do you want to carry around a camera bag and a heavier digital camera? I would probably opt for the smaller all-in-one type camera, point and shoot.
Well, I appreciate that recommendation there.
Not much of a recommendation, but
well, it definitely got me pointed in the right direction. I tell you, I don't know about I've taken a lot of notes. There's some things that I'm going to make sure that I do differently and practice with my cell phone camera because I've been doing a few things wrong so far.
And that actually is the one big thing is practice.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in music.
Yep.
To be better at taking photos, you need to practice at what you're doing. You have to, try taking a picture of a light. Try to take a picture of a sun. Try to take pictures of a flower, just one flower with other flowers in the background. See what happens. You can, once you start doing that and start looking at different things, different ways, then you might get some more ideas as you're on your family vacation, taking photos that you want to cherish for a lifetime. And, so especially with it being digital, you can take thousands and thousands of pictures practicing, and then you just highlight and hit delete and start over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool.
So do you recommend that you get a strong enough zoom lens in case you wanted to take a picture of Uranus?
You beat me to it, man. I was waiting for much.
I knew you were teed up.
You just stole my question.
I believe what you want there is a fisheye lens.
That's good. That's good.
Well done.
Sorry, no, I didn't know you were ready to do that.
I was waiting for you to come back, and I was going to lay it out anyway.
Shucks. That's like there's a few requirements every episode, Jaffo. That's one of them. Sorry.
Nice. One other thing that's really important is if you're going to use your cell phone as your camera on vacation, clear all your junk off of it before you leave. So if you don't need your music on there, back it up to your computer, leave it there. Any apps that take up storage space, like massive amounts of storage space, back it up and delete it off your phone. Because the more you have, especially like with an iPhone, you can't expand that whatever you have on your phone.
Yeah,
it's fixed. They have cloud type stuff you can do, but if you're out in the middle of nowhere, there's no cloud except for Noel. He brings his own with him.
Yeah.
Good point. Well, Jaffo, thank you very much for that. I think that was like I said, I took several notes and things of I'm doing wrong with my camera phone specifically because I use my camera phone. I use the camera on my phone quite a bit, so. And then I actually own a Nikon digital camera.
You just threw it in the trash.
Yeah, right. You're making me want to go out and buy a Canon now. So.
There are people though that I like to just do amateur photography stuff, and a lot of YouTube folks they swear by Nikon.
Oh
and
yeah,
so,
I'm not knocking on Nikon. I'm just saying the comparison. Yeah, between the Nikon camera that I had and the Canon camera that my friend had, they were the exact same price point. I chose one way, he chose the other. They were probably a year different in technology, and his was far superior to mine.
So you chose poorly.
Yes.
You chose poorly. Goodness.
Well, yeah, again, that's awesome.
Have you guys heard about the Amarillo, Texas League minor league baseball team that Amarillo's getting?
Sure have.
What is the deal? This? What is the deal with this? So, who came up with these?
Steve, why don't you talk about that?
Sure. So, I believe this is, if you're keeping count, this is going to be Amarillo, Texas's third attempt at having a minor league baseball team. They previously had the Amarillo Gold Sox, the Amarillo Dillas, and now they're currently polling, I guess, potential Amarillo baseball fans for what their next team name should be called. There's going to be a AA team. I believe it's the White Sox affiliate. And so they've come up with these 5 names. And, you know, Jaffo, we'd love your input after we go through this list of which name you would prefer as well. You know, the list of names is as follows. The first one is the Amarillo Boot Scooters.
Which
The second choice is the Amarillo Bronc Busters, because you know they bust some Broncs in Amarillo.
Gosh.
The third option is the Amarillo Jerky.
What does that even mean? Are they like the beef jerky capital of the world? Where does jerky come in line?
that doesn't. Yeah, when I think of Amarillo, I don't think of jerky.
I don't think of jerky. No.
Yeah.
You know, the last thing they want to do is spin turkey jerky by calling it the beef jerky. So, you know, the fourth option is the Amarillo Long Haulers. And that sort of makes sense. All the semi trucks going through that area. Yeah, but still.
Through Route 66. Right.
Yeah,
so I'm surely they can come up with another name.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last option, and probably the most interesting option, is the Amarillo Sod Poodles. And which apparently is a slang or alias for the, what was it, the groundhog? Is that correct?
Prairie dog.
Yeah.
Prairie dog. There you go. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just call it a prairie dog?
Yeah. And I'm going to be thoroughly disappointed if they don't pick the Sod Poodles as the name, because when you have that opportunity, you got to go ahead and screw it up by getting your third baseball team and naming them Sod Poodles. I mean, this is sort of, to me, a self-fulfilling prophecy on the state of Amarillo baseball. And so, you know, it's something they got to do. You know, we've screwed up the first 2 teams, so let's go ahead and just add a third team name that's screwed up, and let's call them the Sod Poodles.
You know, I thought the Chihuahuas from El Paso were bad until this got brought up. And this makes the Chihuahuas look like the best mascot ever. Seriously, the Chihuahuas versus the Sod Poodles. Who's going to win? This is a nail biter. I don't.
Yeah, right.
Oh, my gosh. I think the Chihuahuas is a better name. That's really funny. So anyway, you know, like you said, Steve, people are going to vote on that one just because it's there. I know I would.
Yeah, I would
know?
too. I totally would.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Jaffo, do you have a preference?
I want to go with Bodie McBoatface.
That was the name. They were going to name. What was that they were naming Bodie McBoatface? That was.
There was a contest that a company did to name their boat.
Yeah, I remember.
And there were nominations, and then after the nominations came through, people started voting on it, and that won.
Yeah, I remember that. Bodie McBoatface.
Now, it was all a publicity stunt for this company. I can't remember the name of the company.
Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah,
Too bad there's not a write-in option for Jaffo there.
Yeah, really.
Bodie McBoatface. Hold on, I'm looking here. What you get when you let the internet decide. The New York Times, Bodie McBoatface. A proposal by a British government agency to let the internet suggest a name for 287 million polar research ship probably seemed like a good idea at the time. Now the agency is the latest group to see what happens when the web users are asked to unleash the creative energy. RRS Bodie McBoatface is a clear front runner. And this was from 2 years ago. Amarillo, you should have taken note, dudes.
Yeah, absolutely. When will they learn? Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
How about Booty McBoot Scoot?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. You know, I just, you know, that just, you gotta, have you talked to, you've got to find out what Steve thinks are.
Well,
okay.
It's their lead story tonight. So
Are you serious?
Yeah, apparently it's what everybody's talking about out there too. So,
oh my God.
Slow day in Amarillo news when that's your lead story.
Are they like,
right.
Are they face palming? Are they excited? We're talking for our listeners. We're talking about Steve from our episode 15, the weatherman up in Amarillo. So that's what we're talking about. So what does he say?
I was, excuse me, I texted him earlier, and I didn't get a lot of details from him about the general feeling about everything about it, but he just said that was their lead story. And then he offered his suggestion for the name, which I won't repeat. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't on the list.
Then it's got to be good.
It wasn't bad. I don't want y'all to think that or anything.
Oh no, we got you.
But
it's his own unique twist on it. I'm sure
it was his own unique twist on what it could be. But it was pretty dang funny.
So I'll tell you, we're doing a Twitter poll on this.
We got
There's
it.
no doubt. So okay, so Twitter polls only allow you to do 4. So which one should we eliminate? Which one should we just flat out say we're not going to do this one as a vote?
The jerky.
Yeah,
Jerky. Yeah, I have to agree. That's just weird. So okay, we'll do the other 4. We'll let our Twitter followers decide that. Oh, and speaking of, last week's Twitter poll on if they heard Laurel or Yanny split 50-50.
Seriously,
Totally split 50-50. Yes.
Yeah, what did you hear?
Laurel.
Yeah.
You heard Laurel.
Every time.
It was uncanny
That is so
whenever Noel and
funny.
we both heard it at the same time, and we both heard Yanny, and 2 hours later, when we got time to record the podcast, we heard Laurel. I mean, it just blew us away.
and only
Yeah.
That's
Just weird.
That is really weird, man. Yeah, I sent that to a friend of mine, and I was telling him about it, and he thought it was crazy, and he listened to it, and he goes, "Dude, it says Laurel every time." And I said, "Okay, listen to it tomorrow, and let me know what you hear." And he texts me like the next morning. He's like, "Dude, oh my God, what is going on with this thing?"
Did he hear something different?
He totally heard something different, and he's like, "I cannot hear Laurel anymore. It's only Yanny. That's all I can hear."
Wow.
And I told him, I said, "I told you, man. There's something weird about it.
Yeah.
I think somebody's messing with it. It's the Russians."
Quick question for y'all. What do you call a guy with a rubber toe?
Roberto. You know, there was a time I wanted to be a comedian, but I was afraid everybody would laugh at me.
That's funny stuff right there.
No offense, but no, you're ready. You up?
Yeah. No. Do you know where you can get chicken broth in bulk?
Chicken broth in bulk. I don't know.
The stock market.
Oh man, that's a good one. Oh,
You know why?
So-
I'm sorry.
okay, go ahead, and I'll go.
follow up. Do you know why crabs never give to charity?
Why crabs never get? I don't. Steve,
No,
Jaffo.
nothing.
No.
Because they're selfish.
Oh. Hey, do you know how much it costs Santa to park his sleigh?
No idea.
No.
Nothing. It's on the house. Jaffo, we've given you all episode. Tell me you Googled something.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
You want to hear a joke about a piece of paper?
Sure.
A joke about a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Why not?
Never mind. It's terrible.
Okay, that's a good one.
That is good.
Oh gosh. Well, I tell you what, it's been a fun episode, guys. Jaffo, thank you so much for being part. We really appreciate it. Look forward to showing off some of your pictures on our Instagram site, and also just thanks to all of our listeners. We are doing really good with your feedback, and we just really appreciate all of the followers and all of the listeners and everything that you guys are telling us. So I just wanted to give you a quick shout out and say thank you to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
So Steve, why don't you send us off?
Hey, it was another fun episode. Thanks for everybody listening to episode 18. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week with episode 19. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Thanks again for listening to The Testosterone Zone. We sure had a blast visiting with you. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe, leave us some feedback, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
All Testosterone podcast episodes are written and produced by Noel, Keith, and Steve unless otherwise noted.
The opinions expressed in the Testosterone podcast are our own and not those of our employers, families, parents, kids, dogs, cats, your mom, or any other entity Noel, Keith, or Steve are affiliated with now, in the past, or in the future, or ever.